Awesome. So Bitcoin's down 3% today, 3.7% today. And if you watch the video that I posted last night, there's going to be no surprise to you. Um, so I told you guys exactly what to look at, and we're hitting these levels perfectly. The first level was obviously if you go the 4 hour. I said we're going to correct into the EMA ribbon, which we did, and really just because it's playing out right now, I just kind of want to touch on that. Coming down, I really don't see us correcting further than right here, because there's going to be support coming in, and the Bollinger Bands are going to be overextended on that point on the 4 hour. So if you watched the video last night, it was like 12 hours ago, so price was probably about right here, and then since then it's corrected down about 3%, which is nice, because if you wanted to buy Bitcoin and then you watched my video, then you're like, okay, that's good, it saved me some money for sure. That being said, this is very relevant. It actually hit this level earlier on a chart that I was looking at, and then it came up and it tested this level again. So right now, this is a very important level to be looking at, when these levels right here, if you think we're going to go up. Stock market went down today, and I'll get to that in a second because it's really important. Because when the stock market went down, Bitcoin went down. That's crazy. It happens every time. And then this is the level that I'm looking at as a worst case scenario. But what I really want you guys to understand about the price and where it's going is that it doesn't necessarily have to hit any of these levels. What the price is doing is it's correcting, like I said, and I showed you in the last video. So if you want to check it out, in the last video there was what's called bearish divergence, which basically means that the strength of the trend and the bullish momentum is weakening, and that leads to corrections, small corrections. And so that being said, I knew the price was going to go down, so it went down. And now where's it going to bottom out? The tricky thing about Bitcoin is none of these levels right here are extremely relevant. And so really what I'm looking at is the stock market as a lead indicator. You guys always hear me say that, and it's always the best way to go. So if the stock market, I mean, really it comes up to tomorrow, because I really just see right now the price going sideways, maybe retesting this level right here, because the stock market is going up. But if the stock market opens up red again tomorrow, really what we're going to see is we're going to see these levels right here tested. So this level never does it. Okay. This level, and this level, and then this level. And it's going to give you all your prices right here. And so the strategy that I usually recommend for people, and it really comes into a narrative play, and I've been talking to a lot of people, and it really comes into a narrative play on how exactly you play this out. But all the Ukraine news has been priced in. I've been saying that for a long time, and it's true. All the Ukraine pricing has been priced in with Russia. And so if you think that the conflict is going to escalate, then maybe you don't want to buy at these levels and you want to retest at 38,000. For me personally, you know, the stock market knows what a war is. The stock market knows what was going to happen. And so unless something like China gets involved or something like that, it's not really going to affect the price. That being said, what I usually recommend to people is I take this line out, because we already hit this level and it's already been broken as support. So really you have these three levels right here, as I was 4 levels right here. And what I do is I do what's called DCA with TA. So that strategy has worked phenomenally for me, and I really do not think that there's a better strategy or anybody with a better track record than DCAing on TA. So basically what that means is you could wait till we come down to 41,300 and buy there. That's not a bad idea. The only problem is what happens if we just hit the top of this Bollinger Band right there and then come back up. And then once we break 44.5, I don't really see us going back down. I mean, 44 is such a strong level. And so really what I see happening is the price coming down. Maybe, again, it all depends on the stock market tomorrow. You know, stock market opens up good, we could just go sideways, head back up. Stock market opens red tomorrow, maybe we come down here and then bounce back up, trade in this area a little bit before breaking, and once we break that 44.5 level that we've been talking about, or maybe it's 44.9. Let me take a quick look on the 4 hour. But the point is that if you're waiting till this lower level of support, then if this scenario plays out, then you're never going to get any capital in. It's never going to go to your limit order, or if you're trying to time it and you don't have a limit order set up. And a limit order just means that on your exchange you're typing in, you know, I want to buy X amount of Bitcoin at 41,300. That's not going to get filled if it doesn't go there. You see what I'm saying? So, and I really like the correlation between the daily EMA and the 4 hour EMA. So I'm really expecting a bounce. 4 hour. Yeah, so like right about here, so that would be, if we close 44,600. Yeah, it's 44,600. That would be very bullish, and I don't really see the price going down, maybe for a small retest before heading higher, but definitely not back to these levels. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so my strategy, like what I like to do, which makes the most sense to me, is buying at these levels. So when Bitcoin corrects and it starts to go down, maybe put in 25% here, 50% here, 25% here. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you get paid again, you free up some funds, you buy right here. There's just a lot of confluence with this level right here at 41,300, because you see that it was found as major support right here. So this is a very big level, because not only do you have the Bollinger Bands being overextended, but you also, the way that this EMA works is an exponential moving average, which means it moves a little bit quicker than SMAs, which is simple moving average. All that means is that by the time that the price action would come down here, this this EMA right here is going to come up to that 41.3 level, and the price action, worst case scenario, is going to find support there. Okay, so that's a real update on what's going on, and then obviously this giant move that we have right now, it's still in play. Daily, so that giant head and shoulders right here is still in play, and this is again a long-term outlook where we can go up to. This is going to be our measured move. So usually how measured moves work out is usually we'll go up to this level right here, we'll trade sideways for a little bit and then go over here. But if you look at the daily chart, like I said before, we're going to go up to this 45.9 level right here. That's the end of the daily. So then we're going to be riding the Bollinger Bands up to this measured move, go sideways, and then we're going to continue up. Once we continue up past here, that's going to be overextended on the weekly chart. So it's right here. It's right here, where this top white line is. And so once we run up to that level, everybody's going to get really excited. I'm probably going to take some profits on, I have some leveraged positions up here. Just for the reason that I think that at that point we would definitely correct, and I do not want to take profits at 56 because I think we're just going to continue to grind up. So this would be a potential area where I'm looking to take profits. Notice when we hit our all-time highs, price action tends to hit this level and then correct, tends to hit this level and correct. So if we are making it up here, I'm bullish obviously, but closing out some of my position and then adding back to it as we correct down makes a lot of sense to me. And if we are at those levels, even though I'm closing my position and my position is like at 30,000, so even though I'd be closing out my 30,000, like I was buying the leverage at 30,000, even though my profits would be at 100% ROI, return on investment, and I would have to buy back in probably, where would we buy back in? Yeah, probably around 56, especially because we're most likely going to be trading sideways there, building out VPR support. I want to do that because my liquidation level is going to be so low and we're going to be so high, it doesn't make sense that I'm going to get liquidated. So taking some money out of my trade, buying back at 56, and then waiting for us to break all-time highs again, and then just holding and cashing out towards the top makes a lot of sense for me. Again, you look at these Bollinger Bands, price action hits all-time high, corrects, hits all-time high, corrects back into these bands. And so this is a very big deal. Like this is not something to just overlook. And usually when people see that we're going to 66, almost 67,000, then they're like, okay, well, it's going to go higher. And I agree, but it's going to correct first. And so that's my strategy. That's really my longer term outlook. And once more stuff builds up on the charts, once we print more candlesticks, I'll be able to get back to you guys with more details. But like I said in the last video, or as I said in the last video, which played out in this video, we were going to go down. So that's the thing I want to say. I don't want to just come on here and just say that Bitcoin's just going to rocket shit up all the time, because it doesn't work like that. It goes down, it goes sideways, and then it goes up. And that's where everybody loses their money in this FOMO stage, where they're like, oh, Bitcoin just, they don't want to buy down here. And I told people, I said it would be a great opportunity to buy down here, but because I don't know what's going to happen, if the United States is going to get involved with Russia, I didn't know what was going to happen. So I said, hey, this is an absolutely phenomenal area to buy in, but I'm personally, and this is what I told my trading group, I said I'm not personally buying right here because it's too high risk for me to make a 100% return based off of, you know, if something really crazy happens with Russia and there's a 30% correction, I'm just protecting my capital, because if there is a 30% correction because some World War III conflict happens, then I would like to buy down there. And so I'm really thinking strategically, because if we buy down here and then we run out of capital and it corrects back down to 20-something thousand, you're going to be a really sad boy that you didn't put capital and save capital on the side when you knew that there was a large possibility of a major conflict. And the news was only released later that we weren't going to get involved. Do I think that's a bad decision that I made? Absolutely not. It's not about making the best decision, it's about making the right decision. And I heard somebody say that earlier, but that's how I truly feel. And it sounded really stupid to me when they said that. But what that means is that you can't get mad at yourself for not buying right here, because what if that 30% correction did happen? Then you'd be in the other boat where 30% would be back down to 23,000. You'd be in the other boat where you'd be mad that you made that decision. So, and nobody's ever going to make the best decision every single time and call the bottom when we're in these economic uncertainty. When everything's going smooth sailing, TA is really easy to do, and my analysis is extremely accurate. But what I do is I do tell people, like, I'm not the president. I don't know what's going on with Russia, so I don't know like what they're trying to do. So with all that economic uncertainty, I can only tell you that I don't know what's going to happen, but if this does happen, this is what's going to happen. And that's exactly what I did. I said 30% correction. I said I'm not touching it. But if you don't think that anything's really going to happen, because a lot of people didn't even think Ukraine was going to get invaded. I thought they were going to get invaded, but that was already really priced into the charts, which I was talking about. But if you didn't think that Ukraine was going to get invaded, if you don't think that there's going to be another world war, then yeah, this was a phenomenal place to buy, and I told you guys to buy here if that's what you thought. And I put that in the trading group. It's a 30% move right now, and it's looking good. So I just want to end the video with buy, sell, hold, because really when I look at stock analysts, that's really what I look for. I just kind of want to give you the background of everything that's happening in crypto. So right now, I would rate Bitcoin from a completely analytical standpoint, completely unsubjective, completely objective, and non-biased, like, without emotions involved. I would say that Bitcoin right now is, if you have 0 being sell and you have 10 being buy, I would say Bitcoin right now is about, and this is going to piss a lot of people off, but let me explain. It's a 6.5. And if Bitcoin's ever a sell, I'll tell people it's a sell. And I've told people when it's a sell and when it's a hold and whatever. So if 5 is a hold and 10 is an incredible buy, I would say Bitcoin right now is a 6.5, because there's still potential for a correction down to here. And, if it does come down to this level at 41,300, I would change my rating to maybe a 7.5, or 7.6, because that would be a really good indication of a bounce, but nothing's confirmed yet. Really what I want to see and what I would give a higher rating to is when we confirm that we can break above this overhead resistance. So what you have to understand is that if you look at this giant VPR support right here, and we have even more right here, Bitcoin's constantly coming up, hitting these levels and getting rejected, basically tapping this right here. So Bitcoin's price came down, and this is all what's called support. So Bitcoin came down, found support. Then when Bitcoin came down even further, it broke that support, and now it's tested as resistance. So Bitcoin's constantly hitting this as resistance. So what I would like to see is I'd like to see Bitcoin break above this resistance in this pattern right here. This pattern right here. I would like to see Bitcoin break above this and set a higher high. So this would be a high, it's an H. And then this right here that I just drew would be a higher high. That's another H. And yeah, so this is a high, this would be another high, and that plays out at 44,600. If that occurs, then we have what's called an uptrend, and this would look very good, because right here, if I analyze the price, right here you have a low, and right here you have a higher low, and it's constantly setting higher lows, which is very bullish. You also have, and then this is a low, this is a high. If we go to 44,000, then that would be an even higher high. So this would be a confirmed uptrend. If the price action does do what we think it'll do, that would be an even lower low if that's a local bottom. Okay, so at that point, it makes a lot of sense, but right now, the price action looks good. Everything looks good. It's correcting. It should continue to correct, especially if the stock market's not in its favor. And you can really see the speed of the correction when you go down to the 1 hour chart. So go down to the 1 hour chart. You can see it's a little overextended on the correction and it's moving back in, which you can see right here. Delete that. So obviously, I mean, this was in the last few hours, perfectly correcting on this level right here. So if you really want to know the speed at which we're correcting, you're going to follow this Bollinger Band on the hourly, because that is an incredible indication. Why? Because it corrected in here originally, and then it's tested it as support, validating that this is really where the eyes are all on. This is not looking good, this EMA, and when we do start to see a correction, the first signs of a correction back to the upside, what we're going to look at is we're going to look at the price to come up, test these levels right here, and break higher. So it would be wrong of me with my experience to just say that Bitcoin is a strong buy right now. I know a lot of people want to hear that, but it's not the proper analysis. Like, that's an emotional, because look at all the VPR support right here. I mean, we just broke through the strongest support we have right here, so there's no VPR support right here. What that means is that Bitcoin can basically free fall riding this Bollinger Band down to these levels. There's really no reason why it can't, because there's not really any support built up right here. So what support does is it basically acts as like a stop. So it either slows down the price, or the price ends up going down to that level and then going back up. It supports the price. And right now we don't have any support besides the EMAs, which we're correcting on. So coming down to these levels makes a lot of sense. And so a hold, a 6.5 rating on a hold. Come down here, we're looking at like a 7.5. And then once we get those confirmations of an uptrend, that's when I would switch my rating to an 8. There's just not a lot of news and a lot of economic uncertainty to really raise my rating higher than an 8 if we break 44,600. As far as anybody that I would talk to that's saying sell right now, I would say, why would you want to sell? Like, what are your plans to sell? Like, and that's what I usually say to people, because in my head it doesn't make a lot of sense to sell, because like, are you gonna put it into real estate? In the next 3 years, the Bitcoin halvings in 2024, we're in 2022, so that means in the next 2 years there's going to be a halving. There's going to guaranteed be another bull run if this one doesn't play out, which it will, but worst case scenario for the bears, which I heard some people talking about how they think Bitcoin's in a bear market or something. It's crazy. It's not how a bear market works. You see a bear market, there's like 30% corrections and stuff. How is it a bear market if we just went to 30 and we just pumped back up to 40, 44? That doesn't make any sense. So, and I've been saying that for the longest time. People are just running their mouth, and I haven't been on enough to set them straight. But yeah, we're obviously not in a bear market. We're in a bull market. But for the bears, come 2 years, there's going to be a halving that's going to drive the price up after about 6 months. So 3 years in, look at your ROI on real estate and look at the average return on Bitcoin in a bull market. You're going to see, I mean, so far in this bull market, it started at 9,000. We went up to 60-something thousand, so that's like a 600% return. Is a house going to 6x? If a house 6x's, Bitcoin's going to like 20x. Let me just put it that way. If there's some hyperinflation deal and the housing market 6x's, Bitcoin's going to 20x. You're not going to find a stock that's going to outperform Bitcoin. If anything, what analysts are predicting, because I talk to one of my friends is a hedge fund manager, so I talk to him all the time. That's how I really got the analytics and ran all the numbers to figure out that if there was a world war or something like that, we'd probably correct 30%, because a lot of the price action was already priced in back when we went to 30,000, when all that stuff was going on. That being said, he thinks, and he's scary accurate. He's been doing this for a long time. He thinks that the stock market's gonna go sideways and slowly grind up. Makes sense. That's kind of what I've been saying. So it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever to sell crypto right now, because what asset class are you gonna put it into? Because even on the most bearish scenarios, you just hold for 3 years and you're guaranteed to outperform any asset class, besides maybe gold or silver if there's another world war. Okay, so that's gonna do it for the video for today. Hope you guys learned something.